Started. It's now 6:01, so we're a minute late. So 3 directors are here. Greg is going to be calling in, so we have a quorum. And Director Newby, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Any additions or deletions to the agenda that we have in front of us? Chief, you have an addition to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am, I apologize. We actually had something that did not make on the agenda. We're going to have, we wanted to give a Lifesaver award. We had a call that through a tremendous amount of teamwork between Elk Creek, Inter Canyon, Jefferson County Sheriff, and Jeffcom Dispatch, we had a arrest that ended up walking out of the hospital. Doesn't happen very often, so we wanted to recognize those people tonight. They're supposed to get here around 18:30, so
Okay.
we'll probably interject that. I apologize about the confusion on it, but
That's all right, we'll just be a little flexible.
okay.
No problem. Okay, approval of the minutes from last month, January. Make a motion.
Hold on, I'm catching up. Anything else we're changing on the agenda?
No, that's it.
Okay.
As far as I know, that's it. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the February 2024 regular meeting minutes.
I will second that motion.
Okay. Greg, are you on yet?
He is.
He is?
Yeah.
He's here.
Yes, I am.
Hello. Okay, so we've had a motion to approve the minutes. A second to that. All in favor of approving the minutes from the February 2024?
Discussion on the motion.
Okay.
So
Aye.
there is a false statement under 10 at the bottom of the meeting minutes. The statement reads as follows: in 2023, $15,189.30 of $24,067.47 spent in legal fees is directly related to requests by a board member. So this is a false statement, and the reason that the statement is false is because we have spent much more than $24,000 in legal fees in 2023. And there's no basis for the statement that $15,000 of legal fees was spent on requests. And the insinuation that I caused the spending of this $15,000, which is unproven, it's false. Now,
And the minutes don't specifically state who it's related to.
yeah, I know, and that's just the point. It's like, this is a statement from God. It's a statement of fact that is not true. It's provably not true. And I offer as proof here that we spent almost $18,000 last year in 2023 just on legal fees for 2 things. One was related to legal fees related to consolidation. The second item was for the 2023 May election. So my math tells me that $17,947 plus $15,189.30 does not equal $24,067.47. So that statement is provably false. So we either strike the statement or we attributed it to the person who made the statement. Either one is acceptable to me.
Well, I'm looking at the ledger report from December 2023. We spent $24,000 of 67.47 in legal fees. That's what's in the ledger.
But we spend much more than that. If these two numbers are to be taken as true. So either the $15,000 number is wrong, or the $24,000 number is wrong. Or
The 24,000.
or this
number-
ledger, these ledger numbers are wrong.
Well,
These come right out of the ledger also. So the point is that this statement is false. And we ought not to be including it into the minutes unless we attribute it to the person who made that statement.
Excuse me, can I just add on to what you're discussing? So legal fees are separated. There are general legal fees, consolidation legal fees, there's election legal fees. So if you look at one category, it's probably going to be not the sum of all the legal fees throughout the entire year. So you have to add in all of those categories to get the total number. That's why the number is off.
Yeah, but the statement is made here that the total spent in 2023 on legal fees is $24,000. And then
So you're
of that
suggesting that we
24,000,
clarify that.
15,000 is impugned to me making the department spend $15,000 on core requests. That number is unsubstantiated.
It doesn't say core request.
Well, it says request, but the insinuation is clear, is it not? Yes. So now, if we want to attribute the statement, I'm fine with that. But the statement, assertion of fact is unacceptable.
And I would suggest that possibly vote against ratifying the minutes.
No,
No?
we're going to do much more than that if we accept these minutes as is.
Do we need to,
Because I will launch an investigation in exactly all of the particulars.
do we need to clarify the 24,000 in the meeting minutes? Is that kind of what we need to do? On what specifically that is, which legal fees that's coming from?
No, I just say, strike the statement and we'll be fine.
I understand what you're saying. I'm
Yeah.
asking, sharing her opinion.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a general ask.
No, pardon me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, Treasurer Woods, do we need, from your perspective on what's in the ledger, do we need to clarify the $24,000 number in the meeting minutes?
The ledger has 24,067.47 legal fees. That's what's in the ledger. In the account, it's called legal services. That's what's in there. The $15,139.30, I assume, is a quarter request by someone to want to know how much on the line status bills were attributed to, as you said, you.
Well, but there's no factual basis for that. Now, if you want to, again, attribute this statement to a person, a particular person, instead of making a statement of fact, so that it's attributed as a statement of opinion, then that's fine. But the minutes as written are inaccurate. There's a false statement here, and we need not be adopting it. And if we do, be my guest. We will get to the bottom of this, one way or the other. But I'm not going to let this stand.
I think that you can object to
I have.
agreeing to what the minutes are. So
Okay.
we can take a vote and.
Call the motion.
So, I would like to ask Treasurer Woods, when you're looking at the way the meeting minutes are written, do they seem to be correct based on your recollection of last month's meeting? And I would say the same thing to Director Pixley.
This is my understanding of what was said in the last meeting in February. This was said by a person who stood up and made these statements. So, as far as I'm concerned, that person said this.
Then let's modify this statement to so state that a person said this, not as it is written, it's a statement of fact.
Well, it falls under citizen comments, so that's pretty.
No, not really. It's not understood by me that way at all.
Well, it says public comment.
It's
but-
an insinuation that I caused the department to
Stop
unnecessarily
stating
spend $15,000.
Your name is not listed in there. That is generalization.
It's very clear to all in attendance what is meant by that statement.
It just
It's
says
very, very clear.
It just says pay for it.
Yeah, but it's clear, isn't it?
I
So
understand
modify
that
the
we're on the
statement.
hook just as much as you are for that statement.
So modify the statement that it was made by a citizen, we can say,
That's-
but it's
in
not a
public
statement by you, the
Okay, so
secretary.
I would be okay with modifying the statement to say, finally, there was a citizen concern shared over the amount of money that the district is spending on legal fees. I think that's fair, a
Okay,
fair statement.
that's fair, that's good with me.
Anyone make any objection to that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So can we have a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of last month with the correction of adding the word citizen in the statement about the legal fee spending from last year.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Recording in progress.
All right.
Recording stopped.
Bethany, are you with us?
I am.
Okay, next.
Recording in progress.
Great. Next on the agenda are financial matters, so do you have the presentation? If not, I'll just talk.
Yeah, we should.
Yes, I do. So just so everybody knows, Greg Pixley is on the OWL. John Camille is on vacation. He normally attends our board meetings. However, he was unable to attend this board meeting.
In touch, Sharon, your presentation deleted itself, so we open it again. Okay.
Okay. Is it on both boards? Okay. So, just go to the next slide, Bethany.
Sorry, Sharon, I don't know what's happening
It's
here.
okay. Take your time. Be sure you do it. So,
You can see it small, but I'll try and make it bigger.
okay. I don't see it at all, Bethany.
It's on the right, it's just for some reason it's split the screen, I
Okay.
apologize, I don't know why.
All right, so, the first slide, this is a graph that shows the annual revenue forecast for 2024, 7,001,515. 2024 revenue as of February 2024. Actuals were 235,700 against a budget of 207,299. Contributors to that number would be property taxes, small amount, 28,000, ownership taxes, 48,000, interest income, 48,000, lease revenue, 30,000, ambulance transports, 29,000, and we received a grant, a fire grant for PPE of 12,500. Excuse me. SURF reimbursement was 16,509, but we'll cover that in a slide coming up, because that's a little weird, because it's actually 2023 revenue that gets recorded when we get the money. Next slide. Year-to-date expenses, budget is $6,370,604. We are at $790,731 as of February. That's a year-to-date number, and against the budget of $752,953. Election expenses that are included in this number from the 2023 election were about $10,000, and there's an EMS capital expense for Garney for one of the ambulances of $25,000. So those are fairly sizable expense numbers. Next slide. Year-to-date net income is forecasted in 2024 to be $630,911,000. Last year's net income was $644,760, so we're looking at relatively flat net income for 2024 versus 2023. Next slide. Property tax revenue. Property tax revenue is our largest revenue number. It is approximately, oops, I'm looking at the wrong slide. Sorry. My malfunction.
Did you say next slide?
No, I didn't. Sorry. Okay, property tax revenue year-to-date is forecasted to be $4,535,365. That is our highest revenue number. It's greater than 65% of our overall revenue. And year-to-date property tax at this point is $28,222, and budget was forecasted to be $39,316. Next slide. This next slide gives you an idea of what it's like to forecast property tax revenue, because everybody knows we pay our property taxes and you can divide them between March and July. So you see big spikes, a big spike in March, and then you see another small spike in July. So at this point, property tax revenue year-to-date, month-to-date, I'm sorry, and year-to-date is at $28,222, budget of $38,536. Next slide. I have two slides on labor. One is actual labor without out-of-district labor, which is the SURF labor. So labor is the biggest expenditure that Elk Creek has. Am I on the right slide? Yes. So a couple things. One is that the total annual forecast for labor for non-SURF labor is $2,935,946. So we are at actual of $541,595 against a year-to-date budget of $429,063. Next slide. SURF revenue doesn't really pick up because that's when we fight fires that are out of district in general. And SURF labor is forecasted to be $926,204. So right now we're at zero because we're not fighting any fires in 2024 yet. If you look at the year-to-date slide, you can see there's an uptick and it starts to pick up in May. We forecasted to be 926,000 by the end of the year. Next slide. We get reimbursed by the state. We get reimbursed by the state. Keep in mind that what you're looking at right now on this slide is actually 2023 fires. There were 2023 fires that the paperwork for reimbursement was submitted to the state in 2024, which is why you see these numbers in our ledger. So at this point, from last year, we have reimbursement that we have left with reimbursement of $32,713. Of that, still due is $16,309, paid is $16,604. So all these fires are from 2023. I may or may not have this slide next month, because, again, this is all 2023 expenses in 2023.
You feel like a slide is more important later in the year?
Yes, very good, thank you. The slide does get more important later in the year, especially like about May, when the other district fires start to pick up. Next slide, just like a second, just like the last slide. I will need a motion as of February 29th. Monthly expenses recorded in the general ledger were $324,491. This is what's in your board packet. I'd like a motion, actually, I can make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the safe ledger expenses recorded as of February 29th of $324,491.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, how are you, Chief, with our bill? Do you want to start your report, or do you want to do something else first?
I'm guessing we'll probably, right. Okay, yeah, you want to see if that's good to go?
We have a small change to the agenda for an award ceremony, so we have to be flexible because not everybody's here.
No, that's fine.
Sorry.
All right,
Let's
so.
just start the chief report then.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and go through my report. So I was hoping a couple things I was hoping to have for this month's meeting, but we did not. We are going to do the first draft of the Nexus study for impact fees. We're working on that internally. Once we have a final draft, I'll send it to you guys for comment, because there are some questions that will probably involve board decisions and actions on them. One of the things is accessory dwelling units. What we're going to do with that. You knew exactly where I was going with that. So accessory dwelling units, mostly they're, yes, the good old ADUs.
Accessory dwelling units, okay.
Yes, so
Cardboard boxes?
ish. So where the complexity goes and where there's board input that will be needed is, for instance, if somebody's building a garage with an apartment over the top, mother-in-law apartment,
Right.
and they're planning on making it a short-term rental. That's a component. Now, so by design, that living usage is no different than any other rental usage, right?
Right.
And it's 500 square feet. Now they're building a barn with the same living space that is 2,500 square feet. What impact is that going to have on us, and what that's going to, is it going to be triggered by square footage? And so a lot of that, I'll explain more when I send out this draft. We've been kind of looking at it internally, and that's going to be one of the big questions, is what the board feels we should be doing with that.
Now, ADUs are capped at 1,200 square feet.
Perfect.
Yes.
The other component is living space if they're making a significant addition. A lot of it's square footage based. If you add that, is it going to be treated as a home? Or is it, is that 10,000 square foot home going to create the same impact on us as a 2,500 square foot home? And again, that's going to be a lot more board probably discussion and where we want to go with that.
Is there like criteria in there about 1-story, 2-story?
No,
No, so it's just
it's square footage,
square footage.
living area.
If you have 600 on one floor and 600 on the floor, that's okay.
For an ADU or an accessory, or for a normal house?
Well, I was thinking about the 1,200 square feet.
Oh, you mean an ADU? They can do it however they
Yeah, I
want.
was going to say, an ADU is,
Okay.
it's just an ADU, that's what it's zoned as. So
Okay.
what this came is, we have some extremely large houses going up in our district. And do they fall under a different, is there going to be a square footage cutoff for the impact fee? Is it larger impact to have a 10,000 square foot house versus a 2,500 square foot house to us? And we were talking with the consultant, it's almost like a philosophical discussion, because it's not necessarily going to change the usage, but if it does, heaven forbid, it does catch fire, it's going to involve significantly more resource to suppress fire than that. Now, the argument could be, it's already got sprinklers, so it shouldn't happen. But it's more just, it's a discussion that needs to be had with this body, and that's not, because it is setting fees.
Right.
So, anyway, we're working with that. There's no point giving you guys the first draft. I want to give you guys the final draft, and then those will be some of the questions we'll probably be able to discuss next month.
So when do you expect to get that draft to us?
I am hoping over this first pass, we're going to give it back to the consultant with all our comments. He's hoping to have that back. I mean, you guys, hopefully you guys will have at least 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Well, I mean, the goal is to give you plenty of time to digest it, so we can have legitimate discussion. It's not going to be, before the meeting and look at it. I mean, because the whole idea is to have that discussion and have the idea of the board as to how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So as soon as they can get it back, we're planning on getting it back to the consultant next week. Then they'll turn it around pretty quickly, because most of our changes are pretty minor. And then we'll have some larger scale discussions that will be for you guys, and you guys will ultimately approve the final.
So as you deliver the final draft to us, we have some time to
Yes.
to digest it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do we have access to these consultants to ask questions?
Yeah.
How do you see that going?
I think that should be completely fine. I mean, that's the whole idea, is to have them as a sounding board.
Interactive.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it has to be, I mean, it is a pretty big deal
Yeah.
to have the impact fees. So, I mean, yes, there should be the ability to ask the consultants questions, work with them, have a good understanding, and when we finally adopt this,
Right.
it needs to be sound, everybody needs to be on board with it, because again, it is a big deal.
So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am?
So these impact fees would go directly to our district? We don't share them with Jefferson County and Park County?
So it's just like mill levies, it will be collected by the county at the time of the building, then the county will disperse it to us. Park County,
100% or
Yeah.
they keep something?
no, they shouldn't, it should be a direct pass-through.
Okay, I'm just,
Now, Park County, they have to be adopted by the county. I don't know if Park County will adopt them.
okay.
And if the county does not allow us to do it, then we will not collect them for any project in Park County.
Okay. We have some houses in Douglas County too, right?
No, we do not.
We do not, okay. I thought we did for some reason.
So that's, I mean, the Park County component's a wild card, but the Jefferson County, the bulk of our houses are in Jefferson County. So again, hopefully within 2 weeks, you guys should have that final draft, and then we can kind of circulate and discuss it, and hopefully the next board meeting have good discussion and have a solid document in place. And then the process, once it goes, we get it reviewed by legal, submit it to the county, hopefully the county will approve it, and then in I don't know, it might be third or fourth quarter of this year is when we can actually implement it and it'll start working.
Okay.
Again, it doesn't happen very often in Jefferson County with these special districts, so we're kind of, I think Coal Creek has one,
It was mentioned to me that Golden has something. Have you heard of that?
but that's a city, so it's different.
Okay.
Since Golden is a municipality, it's different than a special district having it. Because
So are there other special districts that have?
I believe
impact fees?
Coal Creek has one. There are a lot of special districts within Colorado,
Right.
but within Jefferson County, I think Coal Creek is the only one.
Okay.
And I'm speculating, but I believe that's one. There's not a lot of them.
So we're blazing the trail here.
We shall see.
What's new?
I mean, again, it has to be approved by the commissioners for us to be able to do that.
Right. Of course.
Does
Which,
it go through the planning commission first or just?
no, it just goes to the commissioners. It's just because it's basically a pass-through at the county.
It might be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's not really, the planning commission shouldn't really have any part of it because it's,
Right.
it's
They're
just a
not
fee that
building
it's a fee that we're levying.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's TBD. Hopefully you guys will have that in 2 weeks.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, the other thing that we were hoping to have, we didn't get all the bids, was the district management software that Director Devaney talked about. I've been in contact with some of the vendors she brought up to me. I wanted to get a few more, and then I'll bring that. That'll come to you guys next month to discuss and decide what we're going to do with that. And last but not least, our strategic plan, we're working on that. We just closed our internal survey. And we had a pretty great response. We had about 94% of everybody
That's
return the
awesome.
survey, which is good.
That's really good.
We're going to launch the external survey, the public survey on April 1st. On Monday, we're going to kick that out. It'll be open for 3 weeks. We'll push it out via social media, our website, etc.
Maybe April 2nd is very good, and April 1st.
We shall see. I mean, yeah.
Have sense of humor.
Yeah, and that's kind of where that is. Then once we get that back, we'll start putting a lot of the data together and start crunching it. We'll have some focus groups moving forward with that. Still shooting for that to be complete by June.
Okay. Good.
Operations, pretty normal. We had 125 hours of volunteer staffing. Average 3.8 members per call. 22% of the calls overlapped, and our average response time was 10:23, which is up a little bit. We did get a little bit of snow. This doesn't include the last few snowfalls, which did add some challenges. We did have a call that lasted a little over 5 hours during the big snowstorm. Yeah.
That didn't happen to be the Valley High call, was it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough getting in there.
It was impossible.
Impossible.
Finding a road grader, I think the blade is what actually cut the path in there, which,
The second one.
yeah, the second one, the first snowplow couldn't do it.
Yeah.
All of our equipment was stuck, and yeah. Which, that's the way it goes sometimes, unfortunately. Calls, we had a total of 110 calls. We did have a couple structure fires that had fairly good stops on them. Nothing of any consequence. Mutual aid, we had mutual aid 8 times during the month. We had 43 transports. Training, we did have 174 hours of training. Fire prevention, everything's about average. One of the exciting things is Fire Marshal Russ has joined the Foothills RETAC. For you guys that don't know, the Regional Emergency Medical and Trauma Advisory Council. She's run the Foothills RETAC, the injury prevention group. It helps us collaborate with community partners and provide grants for agencies and their communities in the area. In February, they opened a safe driving scholarship for teenagers in the RETAC area. So it's just at Jeffco, it stops at Park. So it was at Conifer High. It helps cover the cost of the driver's ed program. And she shared the program at Conifer High School. And as of mid-March, 4 of the 7 applicants for the entire RETAC were Conifer students, which is pretty great. The code hearings are going on right now for the 2027 International Fire Code and WUI Code, and Fire Marshal Rush is on the Code Development Committee. We've never had anybody doing that, so it's pretty exciting to be a part of that. And the last thing I wanted to touch, which I didn't have it on here, we, as I said, Park County adopted the 2018 WUI Code. They adopted it in a different manner. Some of their verbiage basically said that the fire department has zero authority and ultimately the county has final say on all of it. Where this comes into play for us is we have 2 very high-profile projects within our district. We had a meeting, myself, Chief Mulligan, Chief Black, Chief Moon from Platte, myself and Fire Marshal Rush met with the some of the operations, the key management of Park County, and basically that's what they said it's going to be. They will want our input when they'll send us a referral, and that's where it is. So in a way it's good because it will ease some of Fire Marshal Rush's workload. On the other hand, in Platte Canyon's district, there have already been some places that would have been required to have sprinklers due to the code, and the county decided they didn't need it. So it's going to be an interesting way to see how it shakes out. But county trumps local. I mean, that's gone over that. So that's a TBD as to how it's going to go. The 2 high-profile projects, as you know, the core facility as well as the, it's not Shirley, I think ASCAG, ASCAG, is that the Shirley said the waste transfer facility. You know, that's within our district as well. We started a lot of the inspections on that, but we've since stopped because Park County will be handling all of it.
Park County said they didn't need you.
They wanted to handle it all internally. Fleet and equipment, 496 was repaired, got a new transmission in it. Luckily, Fleet Manager Hojanowski was able to, we saved us a bunch of money. We were able to split at the Dodge dealer. Our total liability on it was like slightly over $3,000, which is great. And the crew carrier for the WFM is almost complete and well under budget because we were able to trade in that vehicle. Next month, I'm going to come to you and ask about surplusing the 1998 Schmiel. We're able to work out a deal with Platt where we're going to get one of their surplus engines. They got a new engine, and I would like to surplus that engine while it is still a functioning engine. Again, it's a 1998, and it's time for it to move on. And that's what we got.
Thank you. Are you ready yet for the poll?
Yeah, I think we're good. I can kind of turn it over to Catherine Weinfeld. In basically what we had, like I said, we had 4 saves. In basically the cooperation between a number of agencies led to a very positive outcome, which is kind of a big deal. We wanted to recognize people during this public event because it's important.
And it's important.
First, I want to apologize for getting my times mixed up. I really apologize for that. So.
Doesn't need to stand at the back of the room.
Come on up, folks, come on up. Don't be shy.
It's a big deal. We got all kinds of goodies.
I just want to introduce Chief Montesi from Evergreen Fire Rescue. Honestly, he set up all of this, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody coming over here, but Chief, I'll kind of let you take it from here.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you very much to the district board for allowing us to kind of eavesdrop into your already very busy schedule, so thank you very much, Chief Ware. So we're here briefly to celebrate something that doesn't happen often in our line of work, especially in some of the more rural agencies that places like Elk Creek and Evergreen Fire Rescue and Inner Canyon serve. And so back on February 14th, all of our agencies collaborated. I know that Elk Creek Fire and Inner Canyon were on a chimney fire up on Faro Drive. Or no, we're on a chimney fire, and a call dropped on Faro Drive that ended up being a respiratory arrest call. Evergreen Fire Rescue was called in a mutual aid situation. We responded along with Jefferson County law enforcement. Dispatch, obviously, JeffCom obviously oversaw the entire operation. We had Inner Canyon trickle in and Elk Creek trickle in as well to respond to this respiratory arrest call. What's significant about this particular one is everyone collaborated together. The mutual aid agreements that we have in place did what they were supposed to do, and the gentleman that all of these folks ran on was able to walk out of the hospital neurologically intact 3 days later. And as I said, this doesn't happen often. These are, we like to recognize small wins. This is a big win for our district, for Elk Creek's district, Evergreen's district, and Inner Canyon. So hats off to these first responders who played a significant role in this gentleman being able to walk out of the hospital. I did try and invite the gentleman. I was unsuccessful at getting a hold of him. I often find that people are not too eager to, there's a lot of pride that needs to be swallowed to come stand in front of a group of folks when you're went through an event like that. But so thank you very much to each and every one of you who were part of that call. There's some folks who were not able to make it tonight, so we will certainly mention their names. I'd like to introduce Gina Scarborough. Gina is our pre-hospital educator for all of our districts. through St. Anthony Hospital. And so Gina has come to say a few words on behalf of her and Dr. Smith.
Yeah, this is, I think, the favorite part of my job, when we get to recognize folks like this that were on call and did a phenomenal job. And I'm also here representing Dr. Sam Smith, who is the medical director for all of these agencies. And he was not able to be here, but he sent me with a letter. And so here's what he has to say. He says, in the medical world, we often speak of the chain of survival in a cardiac arrest. But as each of us is just a single link in that chain, it can be easy to feel like our individual efforts can't make a difference. It's easy to forget just how many people must come together to save a life. I'm very glad we are making an effort and an opportunity today to recognize everyone involved in saving this life. Our emergency medical communication specialists and dispatchers who give life-saving instructions and marshal the appropriate resources. Our community members who are willing to go far outside their comfort zone in an incredibly stressful and fearful situation and begin CPR. Our Jefferson County law enforcement deputies who went above and beyond their usual responsibilities as law enforcement officers to provide essential care. Our Elk Creek paramedics and EMTs who, along with deputies, provide the old adage, BLS saves lives. And our Evergreen firefighters and paramedics who continue the critical resuscitative efforts and transport the patient to the hospital, as well as our Intercanyon firefighters and paramedics who were there to help save this person's life. If anyone in this chain of survival lacked the skills or knowledge necessary or had been unwilling to step up when called upon, the outcome would have been very different for this patient. As an EMS medical director, I inordinately am very proud to be a part of this community and feel so very grateful to be able to work with so many incredible emergency medical dispatchers, law enforcement officers, emergency medical technicians, firefighters, and paramedics. Thank you for all that you do. We are all in good hands. Respectfully, C. Sam Smith, Medical Director for Common Spirit Pre-Hospital Services. And all of our folks tonight that are here are going to get this letter as well from Dr. Smith with those certificates that we have.
We should have bought goodie bags.
I know, we should have. I also just want to mention one more thing. On our side, Dave's prepared some super nice awards here. We're going to present them from our side of the table with the Phoenix Award. And you might say, well, what's that have to do with anything? Well, the Phoenix EMS Award, the phoenix is a mythological bird from the Greek mythology, and it was said to have lived 500 years, and there's only one phoenix that existed at a time. And when the phoenix died, it would just suddenly be engulfed in flames, but then out of those flames would be born a brand new phoenix. So the EMS Phoenix Award is given to first responders who have done everything in their power, skills, and training to resuscitate a patient in cardiac arrest, obtaining not only a heartbeat, but the patient making a full recovery, neurologically intact, that this gentleman did, walked out of the hospital 3 days later to go on to live his life. So from the first call to 911, the dispatchers and communication specialists coaching the bystanders in CPR, to the first responder on scene, perhaps a law enforcement officer, a volunteer firefighter, and a team of EMS providers fighting for this patient's life. All of these first responders helping this patient emerge from the ashes of death just like a phoenix and start a new life again. So I'm going to hand it back over to Dave so we can present these incredible awards for very well-deserved individuals.
So we're going to give one of these also?
I have all these
okay.
envelopes, yes.
I'm going
So
to
if you
start
tell me
out
the
with,
names, then I will pull this one
I'm
out.
going to start with where the emergency started. Obviously, you all know this doesn't happen without our dispatchers. JeffCom does a phenomenal job with getting us to the call. We've been honored to watch JeffCom progress through all the channels that they have over the last 5 years, 6 years almost now, since they started. And so I'm going to start out with communication specialist Kevin Norman to kind of make it happen.
Tuna was unable to make it, so I'll
Okay.
accept on her behalf.
Jefferson County Deputy Warner. Jefferson County Deputy Harmon. I believe none of our Intercanyon folks were able to make it because they're training, so I'll just announce some names for now. Captain John Mandel. Captain Shane Buckles. Chief Skip Sherlock. Firefighter Mark Hansen. Captain Jesse Weinfeld. And from Evergreen, Captain Quattro Roderick. Unable to make it because we're a little busy right now, but his wife, Mary Chris Roderick, made it, so I'm gonna let Mary Chris take the chains here. Paramedic Dale Kirkendall. Dale was unable to make it. Lieutenant Clarissa Boggs Blake. And firefighter Brianna Hoffman. Once again, thank you so much to the board for allowing us to do this. I know you guys are very busy, but we appreciate you letting us break in. Thank you.
Scott, could you do me a favor and grab the public comment form, Chief? Thank you so much.
I think that's the next step. I don't know that I just can't remember which one it was, but it's going to be
First person on the list, I guess, Flip, you're the first person, because there's an error giving you the first.
I didn't ask for that.
Okay. Then let's go to Neil Whitehead, please. Thank you, Neil.
Well, I have some questions on the impact fees. So what about impact fees on major developments such as the Conifer Commons, which is on pause or waiting for to be reborn in a fire or something. And the very latest rendition of Conifer Heights, where you have 3-story condominiums or apartment buildings and major structures involving ladder trucks and so forth. How will the impact fees be designed and applied to those things where there's obvious major impacts that extend across thousands of people and dozens of miles? And will the, number 2, will the impact fees be assessed upon the on the Shadow Mountain Bike Park, which is on state land? Can impact fees be assessed impact upon state and federal land? And then the third would be, it's unclear to the public sort of how these fees were collected before the impact fee assessment structure was done. Were they just not collected, or were they done in a different manner? And fourth, will the impact fees lower potential future mill levy increases by the amount of money that you're collecting for other purposes in the district? And will they decrease the frequency of mill levy impact fees? So those are some of the questions that I have. Hopefully that they will be answered. Thank you very much.
Thanks, ma'am. Next person I think I have on the list is Sharon Trill.
Thank you to the board for your time. I'm not usually one to do this. I think this is actually my first time ever in my 12 years of attending board meetings. My name is Sharon Trilk. I do not live in this district, but I volunteer for this district. However, I am speaking in my personal capacity at this time. And I wanted to just say that I've been coming here since May of 2012, and I've been recording these meetings since May of 2012. It's a total of 73 meetings that are up on my YouTube channel. I probably put in well over 219 hours processing those videos to make them available for the public. And I have never once been paid for anything, not 1 cent, by this district for any of my time that I volunteered here. The only check I've ever received from Elk Creek Fire has been to pay for my Class B uniform, which I just got in February so that I could attend the Conifer Fire Academy graduation in proper uniform. Those meetings don't count, those videos don't count the wildfire town halls, the campaign debates, the ceremonies, and other videos that I've taken for this community so that everyone can see what's going on for themselves. I was also a member of Friends of Elk Creek Fire in 2013 and 2019 because after coming here and learning more about this district, I realized there are really good people here, and this district deserved its support, deserved mill levies so that they could do more. I was also a member of Lifesaver Conifer in 2023 for the same reason. I've seen this district grow. I've seen things like wildland modules get started, and chipping crews and ambassadors and home assessments that we never had, that we have thanks to mill levy and the great people here. Those home assessments and those chipping crews don't take away from our local businesses. We partner with them, over 20 of them who've gone through trainings so that we can refer them when we do home assessments to those people who need that work for them. Our chipping program does work that those companies don't really care to do, so we fill a need, a gap. And I think that's critical for the fact that we are in the highest wildfire danger area in our state. In February, I was sent a core request for records, and I want to clear the air on this. I sent back a reply immediately stating that I was not the custodian of those records. I do not have those records. I explained how they could be found, and I was still badgered to send those records that I did not have.
Sharon,
So, time. Thank you. That is all I have to say. I'm glad to clear the air. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, very much. The next person I have on the list is Paul Wilson.
Can I ask Sharon a question quick? How do I find those videos?
They are on My Mountain Town's YouTube channel. If you do a Google search for YouTube.
Shouldn't they be on the district's channel? Shouldn't they be on their website? Shouldn't I go to their website and see those videos?
I never wanted my business promoted through the Elk Creek Fire website.
Okay, so it's a business thing.
I have done it in my capacity as a business.
Okay, I just
Yes.
want to understand, but that's what went on at these meetings. And there should be some link so that if I wanted to find out what was recorded from what I said before, or what anybody else said before, I could find it. Because I don't know where your business is. Fair enough? I think you're doing a good job, but more people need to have access to it.
A simple Google search will find it.
Starting time, Paul.
We're starting the time, Paul.
Okay. So I'd also like to talk about transparency. And you made a report on the budget. How much has Chief Ware spent on his 2 contracts? And can I find the RFPs for those contracts? When I look on the website, there's RFPs, but there's nothing there. So what's the contract? What's going on? Don't you owe it to the public to tell us what you're doing and how much you've spent on it? Crickets. Crickets.
This is a one-way conversation, Paul, that's the way public.
Yeah, I know,
works.
I know.
Okay,
But-
so you know.
That's an issue. I mean, we're paying your salaries and we have no visibility to what's going on with it. Our money, how it's being spent. I see a little bit of it. You talked about a striker earlier, but not about what they've spent on their consultant contracts. I'd also like to address this gentleman who's always last. And that's unfair. It needs to be either random or he needs to be put up at the top so he doesn't have the last word.
So you put the arrow on, is that?
Oh, you bet I believe it. You did.
That's good of you.
And yeah, it's good of you to always be on the bottom of the page. And you're our employee.
I am not employed, I'm a
He's not.
volunteer.
Volunteer, but you're still getting money from the...
I get
No,
zero
he
money from
doesn't.
this operation, zero.
Okay,
volunteers.
they're volunteers, but they're part of the organization. And I have a problem with the
And
way
private citizens.
the volunteers are treating the board. The other thing is
You
that
have 14 seconds.
why are you making Chuck Newby pay for Cora requests even though he's part of the board? Why?
Because it's the law.
Yeah, but he's part of the management.
Paul, time.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cook, you're next.
Phil Koch,
Patch, sorry, I'm sorry.
that's all right. Wambley Valley, member of this Fire Protection District and third-generation firefighter. But I'm, of course, as always, representing myself as a private citizen, not as a member of this department. I'd like to start with a quote from, actually, I'd like to start my timer. I'd like to start with a quote from one of my favorite works by Lewis Carroll, his Through the Looking Glass, something I alluded to repeatedly in these board meetings. And here's the quote. "When I use a word," Humpty Dumpty said in a rather scornful tone, "it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less," end quote. Contrary to what modern behavior suggests, facts, truth, honesty, and language all matter. What we say should be what we mean, but meaning can be obscured by words misused. Several words have been misused repeatedly at these gatherings of the Elk Creek Board. As a teacher, mentor, and writer of very long standing, I thought I would start out today with a few definitions of keywords that appear to have been used here in uniquely incorrect ways. All definitions are from the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language. First word, hero. Noun, from the Greek heros, the Latin heroes, and Middle English heroes. Anyone noted for feats of courage or nobility of purpose, especially one who has risked or sacrificed his life. So are the members of Elk Creek Fire Protection District, each of whom daily risks his or her life protecting the lives, safety, and property of the members of this community, heroes. And many of us do this for no remuneration, Mr. Olson, and help, and we don't know from, and we help people we don't know from Adam. We have been told that we are not heroes, but if we're not heroes, then who in heaven's name is? Despicable, adjective from Latin despicere, via late Latin despicabilis, to despise, deserving of contempt or disdain, mean, vile. So, how and why is it that Elk Creek's board members, citizens, employees, and members of Elk Creek Fire Protection District are deserving of such contempt? Disagreement of opinion is not reason enough for such accusation. Liar, one who lies, which begs the question, what is a lie? Lie is a noun From Old English, leogan, via Middle English, legan or lean, a false statement or piece of information deliberately presented as being true. This is not the same as a fact-based accusation or a disagreement in opinion. Director Newby, if, as you claim, you wish to bury the
10
hatchet,
seconds.
since you began this conflict, peace begins with you. Apologizing to all of those you've offended at Elk Creek is where it starts.
Time.
Thank you, Mr. Koch. There's no, that was it on the list. Just, that was it on the list. So now we will segue to old business, fire chief's contract update. I'm going to apologize. Dominique has been spearheading that contract, chief, and so I don't have an update because she couldn't make it to the meeting. So I apologize that I'm not as intimately involved as Dominique is, Director Devaney. So I think we're going to have to go on to new business. Is that okay? Okay.
Sharon?
Yes. Greg.
Sharon?
Yes, Greg.
Hello, everyone. I apologize for my not being present, but I have had conversations with Ms. Dominique just a little bit. It will be mentioned in new business that we will address the contract that we have been working on. So again, apologies, but we will address that in new business.
At the next meeting, Greg?
We're going to address the contract issue in new business.
Oh, tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so are you going to address it?
It'll just be a call for executive session.
Okay, got it. So let's go to new business, Mr. Pixley, Director Pixley, and let's start with that. Is new business, please?
Yes, I am calling an executive session. I believe it is for April the 23rd. We have all of our board members and the chief available along with our council. We will be addressing two issues. The first will be the chief's contract. As executive board or as executive session meetings go, is typically one issue. So we will adjourn to after we address the contract issue, and then we will move into our second issue, which will be, forgive me, I lost my notes here, but we will have two issues on the 23rd. Chuck, do you remember what the second issue is? I don't have my notes in front of me.
The appraisal for the chief.
Yeah, the appraisal and the contract, I consider as one. They will be addressed at the same time.
Okay, the other one would then be public comment.
Yeah, and then we will adjourn for a brief moment and then call back to executive session and discuss the public comment rules and process that we have in place at this time. So in terms of new business, those are the things that I just want to make everyone aware of. And the 23rd, 6 p.m., Elk Creek Fire Station number 1 will be the time and location.
So, Greg, in new business, we have rules on public comments because we have drafted new procedure, I guess is the word I would use rather than rules. We've drafted new procedures for public comment, and I believe that Attorney Camille has that at this point, correct?
That's correct. That's right. And you can brief them on that.
Brief. John?
The intent.
Okay. The intent of revising procedure for public comment is that we've had people who have come and been antagonistic, I guess is the word I would use, and non-professional is another word that I would use. So we are actually looking at, along with our attorney, looking at possibly, no, not possibly, we will be revising the procedure for the public to make comments. And that's pretty much where we are right now. Anything else, Greg?
And again, executive session will allow the board members to be able to discuss this privately and to see what direction we want to go. And then we will bring either an actionable item out of discussion so that we could move forward with any possible changes.
Okay. So we are on public comment section number 2. Do you mind, Chief Aronson? Thank you.
Unless any other board members have new business.
There wasn't anything
Okay.
at the beginning of the meeting adding to the agenda other than the award ceremony that we just did. Okay, I have Katie Rothman. Katie.
Good evening. My name is Katie Rothman. I live in Conifer. I'm very proud to be involved with my beautiful and quickly growing community. I know many people around this room, and they know me as someone who cares deeply for Conifer. I'm also a team member, Director of Communications for Shadow Mountain Bike Park, who lives just a few acres away from the proposed parcel. The bike park was brought up during last public comment and again tonight during the board meeting, and I want to make it clear, our team is not swooping in to Conifer and demanding support and giving nothing in exchange. We are committed to partnering with Elk Creek Fire District, other local utilities, community organizations to make sure the bike park adds value to the community without putting undue strain on local resources. If that means finding a way for the park to support the fire district outside of tax revenue, our team is open to having those conversations and welcome them. We are here to be collaborative and transparent and are open to any conversations about how we can support each other moving forward. We as a community continue to have these conversations with the fire district about outdoor recreation and any other community topics, both in this room and out. I encourage everyone here to always have multiple sources of information, to have a goal of positive conversation across the spectrum of different voices, reach out to different sources to make sure we are all working with the same set of facts. Always ask thoughtful questions, engage in respectful conversations. The Shadow Mountain Bike Park welcomes those conversations, and me as your neighbor in this room welcome them as well. These meetings can be tough, but I really want to make sure that I take a moment to thank the fire district, to thank our chief, and thank you, board, for always showing up and
Thank you. The next person on the list is Neil Whitehead.
No comments.
No comments? Okay, Missy Weinfeld.
Good evening, board directors, chief. Firefighter Urban, sorry. I just wanted to say, I don't know if Chief Dave is still here, just thank you to him for putting together such a wonderful ceremony for everyone who was involved in that save. I think that it is really important to focus on the good and grow the good, because there is a lot of good, there is a lot of positive happening in this district with our firefighters, and that was really important to see tonight. Every single one of those people, from our dispatchers all the way up to the chiefs from Intercanyon that were there, all heroes, and I'm just so grateful that we were able to host that. So thank you, directors, for allowing Chief Dave to come in and do that tonight. I also just quickly, to transparency, I mean, we keep talking about transparency. I guess maybe I would urge, particularly if the board is going to be revising their policies regarding, well, everything really. If some people want more transparency, I would urge the board to, you know, and I do believe 1 or 2 board meetings ago, one director wanted far more specifics included in minutes, and then now we're arguing over semantics with wording. So if we want transparency, let's have transparency. I did personally, as a citizen, I thought that those were great minutes. I thought that they were more detailed than they previously have been, and so I want to encourage the rest of the directors, don't don't be bullied by empty threats. Hold your ground, and if we want transparency, let's have transparency. So thank you guys so much for allowing Chief Dave again from Evergreen to come in tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next person is Steve Gittleman.
Right here.
Steve. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Gittleman. I live in the Piano Meadows neighborhood. I'm a concerned citizen, not affiliated with the fire department or any other fire department. Although I was a volunteer firefighter in Boulder County for 15 years before we moved up here 14 years ago. And I simply came here tonight to say thank you to everybody here and the services that you provide, to all of the unpaid and underpaid employees and volunteers. I think that covers everybody, at least in my mind, underpaid. I was reminded of the value of emergency services 1 month ago as I walked out of my barn after feeding animals, and I came face to face with a moose. And I have come face to face with wildlife in the past, but this was not on my radar. Although there have been a lot of moose sightings in Conifer since. And yes, I have lots of video and pics. And so I was so close that I decided to weigh the risks and benefits of petting the moose.
Oh my goodness.
And the benefits, once in a lifetime opportunity, and maybe the best video of all time. The risks, I was just one headbutt or stomp away from being a patient in the intensive care unit at St. Anthony's or Swedish. So given that, I decided I wanted to pet the moose. So, but I picked up a flake of hay, offered it to the moose, and she made a pretty good decision. She growled at me and I said, okay, I guess that's the end of our relationship here. The first thing that went through my mind though was how fast could the fire department get here to help me if I needed it? And the answer is not very fast to my house, but I knew they were coming and I knew you had my back. And I appreciate that very much. Psychologist Robert Maslow, that's not his name, maybe Abraham Maslow. I forget his first name, but the rest is true. Talks about a hierarchy of needs, and at the bottom of this triangle there's food and water, next is safety, and without safety you can't achieve the happy, better things in life. So again, just as a community member, I'd like to say thank you for all the efforts and everything that you provide the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person I have on the list is Amy Burdett.
He's here, he said time is for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Hello, board members. Good evening. My name is Amy Burdett, and I live at 34538 Cedar Lane, and that is in the Elk Falls Ranch neighborhood. So I live right against the border with Staunton State Park, and I wanted to come to my first meeting and also make a public comment after listening to some of the meeting to say that I appreciate your service as a board and the service of Elk Creek. So thank you, volunteers and uniformed members, because it's important. I've been in touch with emergency services several times in my almost 10 years in this area, including a car accident, a dog bite, a mental health breakdown of a teenager, so in many different ways. And so it's important to have these services for the community and to continue to understand that there's wildland fires, there's structure fires, there's dog bites when your dog gets in a fight. And all of these things are cared for by our community and by people that are around us here. So sorry to get a little emotional about it because it's a business meeting, but I want to show appreciation because as my first visit to this kind of meeting, I hadn't looked at the agenda or seen the presentation or read the minutes or anything. I guess I kind of expected more of what the community might hear about what you're doing instead of an argument over a legal fee dollar, but you know, the different business meetings go different ways. So I am involved in the community, and I have been a part of a Safer Conifer to support consolidation. So I'll just repeat here that that hasn't come up in a meeting anytime recently, that be reconsidered for a public vote, because I think that it's something that if understood better and looked at transparently, that others in our community may have a different outcome in a public vote. So thank you to everyone again. And in my remaining 34 seconds, I'll make a comment about the public comment period. Since it's my first time using the public comment period, I did read the instructions and gave my full name and address, and I wanted to mention that a couple of other speakers at the beginning didn't give their full name and address. I don't know everyone here, so I thought that was part of it. So if you're going to have a public comment period with guidelines, I would encourage the board, who I'm supposed to speak to during the public comment period, to either encourage or enforce or do something else to make sure that whatever it is that you have during the period be clearly followed. Thank you.
Sorry. I didn't know I was going to make a note.
It was like an echo.
Yeah, that did. The next person on the list again is Paul Olson, please. Welcome again,
So,
Mr. Olson.
question about the impact fees. So if a developer puts a 4-story apartment up here, and you don't have the equipment to deal with it, how's that going to be handled? Are they going to force you to buy additional equipment, and will that cover the maintenance and operation of that additional equipment for the life of that equipment and the life of the structure? That's not clear. The other thing is on transparency. I wanted to look at the meeting minutes from the last couple of meetings on your website. They're not there. Should there be a time limit on?
They are there, they're all there.
No.
Yes.
I
I
looked
looked
this
at them
afternoon.
today. I looked at them today.
I didn't see them.
All last year. January is also February.
I didn't see January. February could be there. There should be a maximum amount of time that you've got before they go on there. The other thing is to put on the agenda for the meeting, so that we as a public, we come here, we know what the agenda is before we show up.
It is. It is there.
I didn't find it. I didn't find it.
It was there. It's there.
I looked. I'm computer savvy, I didn't find it. The last thing I'd like to say is I'd like to ask Mr. Flip here to apologize to the board for his incendiary comments for the last few board meetings. They were uncalled for, not...
It starts there.
No, it starts right there.
It starts absolutely right there.
It starts right there. There's two parties to
First
it.
director,
Hold on,
needed to
this is
apologize to
the-
the firefighters.
Yeah, okay. But that shouldn't be allowed here.
Understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. Appreciate it.
The truth is not always pretty, Mr. Olson. That's the truth.
Mr. Couch, you want next?
Still Philip Koch. Okay, I would like to start with a quote from Charles F. Chuck Newby himself. Director Newby said, and I quote, "We," meaning Elk Creek Fire Protection District, "have spent taxpayer money wisely, and I don't think there's any financial mismanagement at all." This in an interview to the Canyon Courier, published on the 28th of February of this year. I am frankly truly encouraged that Director Newby seems at last to have seen the light on this matter. His epiphany appears to have required of him no fewer than 30 core requests, largely at taxpayer expense, I might add. 10 of these deeply suspicious and personal requests concerning invoices and payments that may have been made to individuals at Elk Creek and other fire protection districts. This does not bespeak confidence in either the honesty of Elk Creek or the credibility of its annual audit process, one that is required by law and that Elk Creek has passed for at least the last decade. Remember, it's trust and verify, sir, not distrust and vilify. In particular, Director Newby singled out the following persons for potential suspicious payment by Elk Creek. This all from Cora requests, by the way. Kurt Rogers, Chief of North Fork. Maurice Skip Sherlaw, Chief of Intercanyon. John Mandel, Captain Intercanyon. Jacob Ware, Chief of this Fire Protection District. Scott Aronson, Logistics Chief of this Fire Protection District. Benjamin Yellen, Wildland Captain here. Kevin Devaney, Lieutenant and Volunteer Member of Elk Creek. Sharon Trilk, Public Information Officer and Volunteer Member of Elk Creek. Miranda Tucker, for God knows what reason, she's a citizen supporter volunteer. Pam Feely, also citizen support volunteer. You either believe what you say about there being no financial mismanagement, or you do not. You can't have it both ways, Director Newby. Walk your talk. Stick to strategy, leave tactics and operations to those who actually understand this field, or do what I did. Become such a person yourself by taking the Fire Academy and joining Elk Creek as a full-fledged member. In the interim, please help set the strategic direction, but trust these, your good people, to keep us all safe on a daily basis. If you don't or can't, then what in heaven's name are we doing here?
Thank you, Mr. Couch. I don't have anybody else on the list of public comment speakers. So at this point, I would like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
I make the motion.
We're already.
Too late.
Too late, you're, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm only 12 hours away.
Recording stopped.
No,